Introduction. Art and profit are not at odds as much as people think. Allison Tedford, freelance writer. Don't get into the business of writing for money. Do it for the love of writing. Blah, blah, blah. Once upon a time, that was my advice to authors. Probably because that was the advice given to me more times than I can count. I will say, though, that if I had a dime for every time I was told that, I'd be so wealthy, I probably would be writing only for the love of it. But then again, why I write has nothing to do with money. Why most writers and authors write have nothing to do with money, with the exception of writing professionals like copywriters, of course. When it comes to money, the question would be why we sell books, not why we write them. But all too often, authors confuse why they write with why they publish and why they sell their work. Somehow they manage, with their answers, to circle back to money. Regardless, it's okay to write because you love to write. But it's also okay to write because you have some amazing things to share. And you want to get paid for your information, for your intellectual property. If the only people who wrote books were the people who love writing, the world would miss out on so much. There are authors who absolutely detest the writing process. But that's okay, because you don't have to love writing to write, publish, or sell your work. Even if you're one of those people who have proclaimed that you have a story or message to share, but you are not a writer, you can still achieve literary and financial literary success by becoming a published author. There are resources and literary industry professionals, such as book coaches, editors, and ghostwriters, who can help you craft your message. We also have to keep in mind that there is writing, and then there is the business of writing. When you decide to put a price tag on your writing, when you decide to engage in financial transactions in exchange for your written words, baby, you're in business. And who goes into business not to make money? So if you don't want your art of writing to be mixed and mingled with money, then write for free. Blog your thoughts, ideas, stories, and content. But if you have a message that you truly want to move to the masses, then publishing, which is a business, is a must. And so we find ourselves back to the whole money situation again. Because guess what? It costs money to move a message to the masses. It costs money to hire the literary industry professionals needed to polish and publish your book like a pro, regardless of which path to publication you choose. Whether your intentions are to self-publish, publish through a publishing house, or seek literary representation, you must produce a polished, publishable piece of work, which will more than likely require the use of literary industry professionals and resources. You can't make a living as a writer. It's only something you can do on the side, so keep your day job. Yep. That's another piece of advice I found myself regurgitating into other writers and authors' ears. But then one day I woke up and I realized that I, in fact, was making a living as a writer, and that I, in fact, was operating on the business side of writing to make money. Writing, publishing, and selling books had been things I loved and found great joy and passion in. They were things I wanted to do all day, every day. And if that were to be the case, I needed to figure out how to earn money while doing it. Because my mortgage company didn't take love, joy, and passion as methods of payments. And so I had it figured out. And I was doing it. Quite successfully, might I add. So who on God's green earth was I to tell anyone else they couldn't do it too? I literally jumped out of bed, got on my knees, and repented for being the crusher of any writer's or author's dreams I'd fed those discouraging words to. I looked back over the years at all those who had given me that advice. Some of those people are now making a living as a writer. Heck, some of them were even making a living writing at the time they told me I couldn't. Then, sadly enough, there are those still going around telling writers and authors they can't make a living with their written words. Well, I'm here to reverse that verbal curse that was ever bestowed upon any writer or author. Stop allowing people to tell you that you can't make a living as a writer simply because they couldn't figure out how to do it. I figured it out, and I teach other writers and authors every day how to do it. My mission, purpose, and passion is to remind writers and authors that their intellectual property is priceless, and it's okay to put a price tag on it. But it's important to know that before you plan to make a living as a writer, you must determine and define what making a living is to you. Making a living could mean a nice apartment in Kentucky to one person, while it means living in a 5-level split single-family home in the burbs to the next. Most authors who are making a living as a writer are doing more than living off book sales and royalties. So if you are that author whose only literary income is book sales and royalties, now is the time to ask yourself, what else can I do, utilizing my role and title as an author, to bring in income that will enable me to make a living as a writer? Keep in mind, since the goal is making a living as a writer, it should complement and be cohesive with your brand in the literary industry, but at the same time, maximize, optimize, and monetize your role as an author. Whatever making a living as a writer is to you, be intentional in your efforts to achieve it. If you aren't willing to put forth the effort, then you might as well put this book down now. This is a resource for writers and authors that includes multiple ways to achieve financial literary success in making a living as a writer. But it won't work for you unless you work it. Do the tips, strategies, tools, resources, information recommendations, suggestions, and professional advice found in this book work? Absolutely. But again, you must put in the work. So if you're ready to put in the work required to achieve financial literary success, if you're ready to put in the work it takes to make a living as a writer, then turn the page and get to work.